Everyone at YouTube. Here is my quick tutorial on how to iron beautiful shiny satin. I have to make it quick because I don't have a lot of storage and YouTube does not seem to want to honor my videos. I'll be pausing along the way. I have an ironing board. Look at it right there. But I don't use that ironing board. It's too flimsy and wobbly and you need a solid, firm surface. So I make my own ironing board. Pay attention to the video closely. I use a wood. I use a flat wood. There's my iron. I use a linen sheet that's been folded to a square, smooth, without debris, without bumps or lumps. You need to make sure it's extremely smooth and without any bumps or irregularities. I'm going to pause again. Now you take your linen sheet, which has been folded for several layers, smooth, no debris, no bumps. I've checked it thoroughly. You take it and you put it in between your wood and cushion. This is going to be a barrier. This is going to be your base where you're going to iron on. So you will not be ironing on that wood by itself. You're going to be using the sheet as a cushion and as a barrier, much like the ironing board does with its surface. You put the linen on top of the wood. Okay? See? You check it. Make sure it has no bumps. Pause. You need to also make sure you check the bottom wood that it has no dirt, no bumps or debris or grains of sand. Then when you put your base and your top, the surface you're going to be ironing on, there it is. Now you take your iron, which is plugged in, and you set it to to low heat. You take your iron and you set it to a medium heat. You notice the way the light goes? See the way the regular light goes when it starts using electricity? Put it on medium, low heat. You don't want to harm your satin. It's extremely dangerous. You need to be careful. The satin is extremely delicate and you don't want to harm it with too much heat. You want to start on a low setting. Here is a beautiful front of a beautiful satin blouse I'm making. Here's the satin. Beautiful. It's kind of, see, it has some wrinkles. That's normal, especially if you have it all bunched up. So, as it's from a beautiful satin scarf, and as you know, women's clothing, you can make blouses out of scarves. So, you notice satin has a grain, a direction. See, satin fabrics are made that is, the threads run in a certain direction. And in a certain direction, they don't run. So the shine tends to move with the light in a linear way, with a direction. And not, if you look at it closely, you notice the threads. They have a direction, not side to side, but along the surface. See? Or you can say side to side. Not sideways and sideways, but straight along. In other words, it's like this. It has a grain. It's like this, not like this. It has a smooth surface that travels in one direction because of the direction of the threads. And as you notice, satin and satin charmeuse has a dull back. That's the side that goes inward. Unless you want to double it, use two and make smooth inside and smooth outside. And that has to do with putting it back to back. But here I'm going to show you. Now you take your satin, and before you place it on the ironing board, check the surface that there's no rocks, no pebbles, no bumps or debris. This one's extremely smooth. I'm going to pause. All right, now you take your satin. Don't believe what they say that you cannot iron satin. That is a lie. If you want your satin to look beautiful and extra smooth, extra shiny, extra elegant, extra glamorous, extra sophisticated, you want to iron it. They are liars. All you got to do is be smart and know what to do. I have 43 years of experience doing this kind of work. So when you're going to iron satin, you don't need no parchment paper or some cover on top of it. No good. You want to iron it with the iron so that it smooths out the surface. Notice the grain. Notice the way the satin shines that way. Not this way, that way. So you're not going to iron. This one's cold. So you're not going to iron like this. No, no, no. You're going to iron like this. You're going to go with the direction of the satin. Like when you comb your hair, if someone has straight hair, they comb straight down, right? They comb their hair in a straight way. They don't go side to side. That's ridiculous. It's like a train tracks. Trains travel along the track. They don't travel sideways. They'll derail. They'll fall off the track. So I'm going to show you what to do. You can also use a spray bottle with water. I use distilled water. It won't leave no water stains because water from the tap has minerals dissolved in it. So you don't want that. You want distilled water, not purified water, distilled water. That's what I use. But you can use tap water. I'm going to start the ironing by ironing without water. Let me put this iron. There we go. It's on. Now, when you iron, notice you iron gently, quickly, move quickly. And you notice you're going to notice you're at the zone, of the hot zone. The heat is perfect when it starts to remove the wrinkles. Okay? Okay? So notice the way it shines it. You can activate it for a little bit of heat, let it run for a second, and turn it back off. You notice it, you move along. See how beautiful? Now, I'm going to show you if you spray it. Spray the spray with a little bit of water. Then you take your iron and you iron along carefully, lightly, you could go back and forth if you like. I go back and forth gently. I put pressure downward, not too much. You just got to make sure that the iron is in a low setting or in a normal setting carefully. You don't want to harm it. It's delicate. Notice the way the wrinkles disappear. Notice I'm going with the direction. And because it's iron to satin surface, is going to give you a beautiful, polished, smooth, shiny, slippery surface. And it will dry. The water will dry quickly because it's a mist. And you're moving along and polishing the surface. And you do that with your satin, and I promise you it's going to look beautiful, and it's going to be elegant, and that's how you make satin better. It's like when you find a diamond. A diamond looks like a rock. The jewelers take it, and they polish the surface of the diamond to make the diamond look shiny. It's like if you have a metal and you take it and you put metal polish, and you polish the metal so it's shiny. Okay? So it's nice and shiny. I have 43 years of experience. Now I want you to see the results. Look at that. Look at that. With light from my cell phone, see how shiny? See how shiny? See? You, like I said, activate the iron. See, you activate the iron and you iron it along the shine. Along the shine. See the way the wrinkles disappear? You see? See, and you lower the iron. Make sure it always stays on a zone, on a hot zone, not too hot. Make sure it just stays like on a warm zone. See, on a warm zone, so that you have it hot enough. Only hot enough. Only hot enough to remove the wrinkles. Let me shut the light off. I'm running out of storage now. I have to hurry. I want to show you. Take your satin. Make sure the bottom has no debris. You can run your hands on it. See how smooth. Make sure that it has no debris. See, if you find debris, you remove it. You make sure there's no bumps. No bumps. Now notice the satin has little wrinkles. You take your iron. Make sure it's not too hot. And you run it. You run it and see the way the wrinkles disappear? There you're on the zone. Do not leave the iron on. Make sure it's on and off, on and off, on and off. Like that to maintain a proper thermostat temperature. A proper thermostat temperature. Where it's just hot enough to remove the wrinkles and to polish it. I have a lot of practice. And it's important to move quickly. Move along quickly. Smooth it. You can also use two hands. You can use one hand like this and go like this. And push it. And you can push it if you use two hands. I need my other hand to hold. I'm holding the phone with my mouth. But if you hold it through one corner and you polish carefully, you can even put something heavy, like a long, heavy bag or something with soft. Make sure it's covered in a fabric so it won't harm the satin. And you can hold it down there to be able to stretch it out a little bit so that when you iron, you can iron like that. And I promise you, you're going to love the results. And that is my ironing tutorial. Pay close attention. Be very careful how you iron. Start on a low setting. Start on a low setting. But this here is what you're going to get. That's how beautiful. Look. Look at those results. Oh. Now tell me that here's a satin front of a blouse that hasn't been ironed. It's still shiny because it's satin. But look at how it looks after you ironed it. With light. See, the satin, not ironed. Still shiny, but wrinkled. And much shinier. Much shinier. Smoother, more pleasant, more elegant, more glamorous. Beautiful dare to wear for confident women who truly want to look like a gem in those special occasions, to the office, to a party, to a wedding, to a special business meeting, to a function, to go out, a night on the town, a day on the town, to work. And it's extremely comfortable. Extremely comfortable. I'm going to put the light a little lower just so you can see the richness of the color. Look at the shine. Look at the way the light moves like water along the surface. So remember, it's not true that you cannot iron satin directly with the iron metal, with the platform, with the surface of the iron to the surface of the satin. You can, but you got to be careful. You got to be intelligent. You got to know what you're doing for you to do it carefully. Remember, start on a low setting. Only use the spray for difficult wrinkles. Spray a light mist. Like, remember, like that. A light mist. Traveling, going like that. Gently. Don't over wet it either. If you could just put a light mist, make it a little humid, and be extremely careful when you do, because once the fabric is slightly wet, it might cling to the iron if the iron is not slightly hot enough. Remember, you got to move softly, quickly. If you notice the iron kind of sticks, lift immediately. But if it's on low setting, you could pass the satin. You could pass the iron, on the satin, gently, making sure, remember, start on low setting, and the satin should be dry when you start. You're going to notice the wrinkles begin to disappear. That means you're on the zone, the temperature zone of the iron. You're in the right temperature. And make sure you keep turning the thermostat off. Never leave the thermostat on. Turn it off. As soon as you notice the wrinkles disappear, you turn it off. You got to be very mindful. You got to keep your mind. You got to stay alert and keep your wits about you. Don't be sloppy. Don't fall asleep. Don't be slow. You got to be alert. And because you want a good finished surface, beautiful, polished, a good product. And a good product takes good attention and effort. So what you do is you iron it, you notice the wrinkles disappear, you notice it begins to polish and begins to give you a shine and a smoothness to the surface. That's beautiful. That means you're achieving what you want. You're making the satin better. And not just that, the satin becomes more resilient and stronger and stays cleaner longer. It's not like regular fabrics that are porous. This is beautiful. It's smooth. It repels dirt. And because it's so shiny, if you're outside during the daytime, it reflects the sunlight away, so it keeps you cool. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my tutorial. Remember, pay close attention. Be very careful with the thermostat of the iron. Remember, you activate the thermostat, and once you notice the wrinkles remove, you deactivate the thermostat. You shut it off. Don't leave the thermostat on. You use the thermostat on only once the wrinkles begin to disappear. It means you're on your temperature zone. You shut it off. Use your judgment. Use your intelligence. Never leave the iron sit on your fabric or any garment. You know that. You don't let it sit. You move it along. And remember, satin has a grain, a direction. That's the nature of the fabric. That's why variety. It's not just your regular fabric. It's a special fabric. It's an elegant fabric. It's an extraordinary fabric. So please leave your comments and questions, and I'll be glad to answer you with the best of my knowledge. Thank you, and may holy God bless everyone out there. Peace. Here is a white satin I have, which I also ironed. See how beautiful and smooth and elegant? That's how you do it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.